Hiral is a psychotherapist who wants to practice her business from home. The issue was, having one-on-one meetings with her clients in her house was a little too personal. So, we built her backyard office so she could practice her business with a little more separation. Here's how. It all started with the foundation. 6 concrete piers dug past the frost line with an insulated, pressure-treated wooden frame built on top. Next, a trench was dug to connect the house's electrical system to the offices. Once a subfloor was put in, we could then erect the walls. I used my framing nailer for this, which was a new tool, and made it so much faster than the hammer and nails I was using in the past. Next, with a little bit of help, the beam that would hold the clear-story roof was raised and installed on top of the walls. The rest of the framing was then completed, and here's how it looked. Following this, I placed R10 insulation on the roof deck to better insulate the roof and stop thermal bridging. An air barrier was then wrapped along the house and the seams were taped. Just like the roof, rigid insulation was installed around the house with strapping to provide an air gap behind the siding. This rain screen approach extends the lifetime of the siding by providing a way for water that gets behind it to drain out at the bottom. I then installed the pine fascia boards and a drip edge that was properly lapped with the roofing underlayment. Next came the asphalt shingles, which I made sure had a starter board starting at the very edge of the roof. I did this by cutting some shingles in half. I then made a wooden frame for the windows and made sure to put caulking all around the edges so that it was airtight. The windows were then painted and installed on top of shims, and I switched my focus to the exterior trim and painting. Next came the beautiful red doors that I had some help install because they were so heavy. Once installed, I then used a combination of spray foam and rigid insulation to close off any gaps that I had in the enclosure of the office. The next stage for insulation was to put batt insulation between the studs and rafters all throughout the office. It gave me the feeling that it was inside of a stomach, but it certainly made the place a whole lot warmer. With the insulation done, I then installed the soffit and moved on to drywall. I made sure as I was installing the drywall to mark all the locations of the outlets so that I could come back and cut them out once I was done. The next step was to tape, mud, and sand all of the joints of the drywall, then move on to painting. Nearing completion, I then installed the laminate flooring and the office was really beginning to take shape. What also really improved the aesthetic was the tongue and groove pine ceiling that I had recently installed. I then moved on to the interior trim using a brad nailer and some caulking. The interior trim really helped the office start to feel finished, but there was one more thing to do. And that was to clad that beam we installed earlier to hold up the clear-story roof and make it look like one big pine beam. It was stained along with the rest of the roof, and alas, Hiral's office was finished. They're still moving in and have some work to do in their backyard, so I'll show you the setup once it's all done. See you then. Okay.
I feel like I can start moving faster.
Yeah, take 2. It's a little awkward. I'm like,
yeah.
Bye.